Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Aggressive Whiskers podcast. Oh, yeah, this week is episode number 9. And Bret is back from work trip, and he is full of piss and vinegar. I tell you what, homeboy is wound up, and I don't know what to do about it. All I can do is sit back and listen, and he has a lot to say. And I hope y'all enjoy. I hope y'all feel similar, and if you don't, that's okay too. It's okay to have opposing views or whatever. But I hope y'all listen and I hope y'all enjoy. Episode 9 of the Aggressive Whiskers podcast coming up next. Bonus to the sky. For life.
Oh, hi. Have you been here for a while? Sorry if I made you wait. I just got back last night from a long trip. That's a lie. It was a short trip. Felt like an eternity, but it was a brief trip to Green Bay, Wisconsin. Never been before. Definitely have to go again. But I just got back from Green Bay last night, and I had a lot of time in the car to think and to get angry and to want to scream from a mountaintop. To reach out to those that I care about and remind them that I care about them. To want and desire change to better myself. I had a lot of time in the car. It's a 7.5 hour drive there, and it's a 7.5 hour drive home. And in that amount of time, you can't help but think. You listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of great topics. You listen to a lot of dumb podcasts that make you giggle, and sometimes you listen to music, and sometimes music invokes feelings and thoughts. And anyway, I just had a lot of time in the car, and even at the hotel, I was by myself, and the only time I was with somebody else was at the restaurant and then at the job site the next morning, which was an absolute shit show. But welcome to episode 9 of the Aggressive Whiskers podcast. I'm your illustrious host, Bret, also known as Breast. That almost just came out of my mouth. Bret. And at some point, I'll have to stop introducing myself. If there is any new listeners, I am Bret. This is Aggressive Whiskers. And I am about to go on an audio verbal journey with you. So thanks for being here. A lot of time in the car. I listened to several people discuss Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson and her missteps, her inability, her unwillingness to say potentially something that could get her in hot water with leftists, the woke mob, if you will, on the left. She is so worried to say something that will offend them that she's willing to sound like an absolute dipshit on the stand, being questioned by adults who are in positions of power, the Congress, people from Congress, people, very, very powerful people who are unhappy with her and her record as a judge. Asked her lots of questions recently, and she is more than willing to sound like a dummy than she is to give an answer to a question that I'm sure she knows the answer to and not say the exact perfect thing and find herself in trouble with the woke left, who is absolutely on the cusp of taking absolute control and power over the entire country of the United States if people don't start doing something about it. And I don't know what that is. I don't know what that something is. But I can promise you it is not doing nothing. And no, I am not naive to the thinking that my sitting in my own basement in the comfort of my own home talking to myself is going to fix anything. But raising 3 thoughtful, smart children could potentially change the future. but I don't know if I or anybody can change the present. And I don't like it, and I don't know how long we're going to be here. I don't know if it's a fad. I don't know if it'll be short-lived. I don't know if it's going to be till I die that it's going to be a fucking mess. But all I can do and all we can do is whatever we think is the right thing, and then raising the next generation of good people. I cannot bring myself to yell at people who I think are wrong and who I think are misguided and who I think are leading us down a bad path. I can't bring myself to yell at them. I have a strong urge to set up a table in front of somewhere downtown Clarkston and sort of like Steven Crowder does with the Change My Mind projects that he does, where I pick a controversial topic, put it on a poster, hang it on the front of my table, and sit there and have an aggressive discussion with people. I have that desire to do it, but even he finds himself in positions where he is concerned for his well-being, and I'm not willing to put myself in that position at this exact moment. I want to have those discussions with people because I think there are so many people that I know in this town who are so fucked up and so misguided, and they're willing to go along to get along. And that's the problem. Everybody's willing to just go along to get along. Everybody's afraid to get yelled at. Everyone's afraid to have someone confront them. So they don't do anything. And then we find ourselves here where these young people, this hyper woke left, they're not afraid to kick and scream and cause a ruckus and tell anybody who maybe has some conservative ideals or values that they're racist. But something has to change, and I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I have the energy to do it, but I'd like to think that I'm about to try. It's important that you're honest with your children about winning and losing. My printer was going to sleep and it was making a loud noise. I just had a conversation with my children at lunch today. We were talking because the guy that won spiciest chili drove by. I said, "Oh, there's so-and-so." And then my daughter said, "You know what we should do? Next year, instead of having whoever won shouldn't be allowed to make a chili anymore, they should have to be the people that announce the winners." Because she's afraid of losing again. And maybe afraid's the wrong word. But she would rather just remove the person completely from the competition such that they're not a threat anymore. And that is indicative of this culture of everybody today wanting equality. And so as an adult parent, it's important that you teach your child that's the wrong approach to this whole situation, sweetie. Instead, accept the fact that you are not going to be the best at everything. There are always going to be people who are better than you at something, and that is okay. It's also okay to want to be better than them. So instead of saying let's just remove that person, how about you identify what it is that they're doing so well, and you either match it with your energy and creativity and passion or exceed it. You be better than them instead of removing them from the equation. That's not the answer. Learning how to grow as a human and improve yourself is incredibly valuable. So as a parent, it's our job to instill that in our young people. The exact opposite is happening in today's schools. I said it on Instagram, and I'm saying it again. Pull your children out of school. Do not send your kids to school. They are fucked if you think you're fucked if you think your kid's going there and getting a good education. They're fucked because of the mind control, the mind manipulation, the thought control that is happening within the schools those children are in trouble. You are in trouble. Your fellow citizens are in trouble. Pull your kids out of school. Mark my words, there's going to be an incredible withdrawal of young people from public schools in a matter of months, if not a year. I believe that some of the policy that is being implemented is going to cause a mass exodus from public schools. And I don't even know if private schools is the answer. I believe all organized education will soon be a thing of the past. I'm telling you, there's nothing valuable there. There's nothing you can't teach your own children at home to get them far enough. You're just trying to teach. Children need to be taught how to be critical thinkers instead of followers. They need to be taught how to problem solve and do basic tasks. Reading, writing, arithmetic, basic. The rest of the other stuff, the critical thinking, the problem solving, the how to grow your own food. If you listen to the mainstream media, there's going to be a food shortage. You know who's not going to be short of food? Me. You want to know why? Because I will go out and I will get my own food. I will kill an animal. I will skin it. I will cook it. Whether it's in season or out of season, nobody in the government will tell me that I'm not going to eat. I will grow my own fucking corn. I will grow my own vegetables. I will harvest my own meats. And I don't care what anybody tells me. Nobody in the government will tell me I can't have food. I will not be shorted. Teach your children how to hunt, how to fish, how to clean an animal, how to cure it, how to store it such that it doesn't collect bacteria and harm you when it's time to eat it, how to can things, how to write a letter. Have some fucking manners. I went on this tirade last time. Pull your kids out of school and teach them how to be good people in your own home. Do not put that trust in anybody else. Only you can prevent forest fires. And that forest fire is today's young people who are now becoming leaders. This wanting to implement this hyper woke left narrative of racial equality and whether or not you are anti-racist, not just opposed to racism, you have to be actively anti-racist. So just saying, I'm not racist and I don't think it's okay, you have to go out in the world and actively oppose and promote anti-racism. Like, that should... Why are we even talking about this? America's not racist. Canada's not racist. But you people who are pushing this everybody who's white is racist shit is making things worse. Anyway, pull your kids out of school. Stop it. Teach them how to lose and encourage them to win and grow and learn and be better. Pull them out of school. It's fucking bullshit. This sort of goes along with my topic that I've had on here for several weeks about setting boundaries. I had this conversation at the job site yesterday. Setting boundaries is good, man. And it's hard. It's hard to look at people and say no when you know that's going to bum them out. But if you don't set boundaries for yourself or your business or your relationship, singular, plural, if you don't set boundaries, you will lose control of several situations and you will find yourself miserable. When you feel no, say no. If someone is consistently making you uncomfortable, or if them being them isn't the issue, it's the fact that you haven't spoken up for yourself is the problem, set a boundary and stick to it. It's hard. I know, because for a long time I said yes and I went along to get along, and it came back to bite me. It came to a head several years ago, and it caused a tremendous amount of problems in my life. And I learned that if I feel no is my answer, I need to stick with it. I need to be firm in my answer as no. And if I'm firm on it, I don't have to think about it. If the answer is no for a reason, but then I start to second guess myself, and you're willing to listen to an argument as to maybe why no wasn't the correct thought from you or answer from you or boundary, it's okay to listen to an argument and reconsider your original position, but have a boundary. And then if you feel like negotiating your boundary, negotiate your boundary, but have a boundary. Everybody should be able to set boundaries confidently and stick to them. And that, again, I think not having boundaries finds us where we are in this world today. These young people who are now the leaders in positions of power, executives, CEOs, vice presidents of corporations, presidents of corporations, CFOs, director positions. Nobody ever had boundaries with them, or the boundaries were too easily negotiated, or it was too easy to not enforce those boundaries. And now those children are running rampant as adults in this world. Set a boundary, stick to those boundaries, and I promise you, you will be a happier individual. It will hurt people's feelings. It will bum them out. However, I truly believe that eventually those people will respect the fact that you have boundaries, and it may actually encourage those people to set their own boundaries. There's a few words in today's society that bother me. I don't know why, but they do. And the fact that I said the B word so many times right there is starting to bother me. The word triggered bothers me because I think it makes you sound overly sensitive. I understand what triggered means, or triggered, or triggers, or trigger. Like, I get it. I do. But you sound like a pussy. And I'm not sorry about that. I hope that triggers you. You know, there's a lot of people who are hiding their insecurities, or they're hiding behind. I'm trying to think of the best way to articulate this. There are a lot of people who pretend to be exceptionally thoughtful or cerebral or so smart and advanced and really just real cool and smart. And that could be to the extent of like, someone who's like, oh, I am the way I am because of the way that the stars were when I was born, and I'm like really in touch with when Mercury's in retrograde, and like I'm just a really deep person, and I don't like things on the surface level. Like, you have to really feel my aura. You have to see my aura for who I am, and like hear me for what my soul is speaking. Like, bitch, shut the fuck up. You should be able to say, I want a goddamn chili dog, and mean I want a fucking chili dog. Nobody should have to think that hard about what you're saying. If they do, you're hiding something. You're hiding behind that persona of being excessively cerebral. You're hiding behind it because of your own insecurities, and because you're unwilling, or you're unwilling to set a boundary, or you never set boundaries, and now you're spiraling out of control and you don't know what to do. Stop acting like you're so fucking smart, or that whatever you're saying is so intellectual, or that you can't handle a regular conversation of, bitch, how's the fucking weather over there? Sometimes people really want to know how the weather is. You ever think about that? I don't give a shit about your fucking moon sign. Maybe one day I will. But I really might be curious on what the weather's like today in your area. Did you ever think that maybe it's not always about you? Maybe the person you're talking to isn't interested in having a super deep conversation because their life is really fucking hard and they're hanging on by a thread and they just want someone to talk to on a very surface level to avoid having to deal with their own thoughts. Have you ever thought that maybe it's not about you? And it's not. I just went on a rant and it made it sound like it was just a female thing. It's not. There's a lot of dudes out there who act the same fucking way. Stop it. Just be a regular human. You can be interested in that stuff, but don't punish other people if they're not in the same wavelength as you, bro, sis, whatever. It's okay to be shallow. It's okay to be shallow. Let that sink in. It's okay to be whatever you are. If you're super deep, be super deep. But don't hate on someone who's a little shallow because you don't know what that person's brain is like. Maybe they have a bum eye that they think they're going to end up having to have another fucking surgery on because the motherfucker's going out again. Me, I have a problem with my eye again. Maybe they just had a tooth pulled. And no, I'm not talking about a specific situation in my life. But what I'm saying is everybody's got their own shit. And it ain't always about you. And that same argument could be made against me. But I try to meet people where they're at. I try to understand that I don't know what your home life is like. You don't know what my home life is like. It's pretty good. But what I'm saying is, stop acting like everybody needs to meet you where you are. Meet them where they are. Have some compassion. If there are people in your life that mean a lot to you, don't distance yourself from them because they aren't interested in the same things you're interested in. If that person means a lot to you, reach out, say hi. Ask them how the weather is. That might be the exact thing that picks them up out of a hole. You'll never know if you're so stuck in your, bitch, that motherfucker never asks me about what I think about astrology or how I feel when the full moon is upon us and the tides are in or out and what that does to my inside, my soul. They never talk to me about who I am on a cellular level. All they do is talk about what did you have for dinner? Who fucking cares? At least that person's talking to you. At least that person has reached out to you and wants to interact with you. But that's human beings. There's this wedge between us where this group of people thinks that they can't associate with other people because they're not the same. Fuck that. We're all human. And you're doing yourself a disservice. And you're doing your fellow human being a disservice by not meeting them where they are and expecting them to be expecting everybody to be on your level all the time. It's unrealistic. It's unhealthy. I just want people to be better. I know not everybody thinks the same way I think. That would be horrible. Ewy. My brain is a mess. Y'all should not think like I think. But just be better. Just be better to your fellow man. If you love somebody as a human, just tell them. They might be gone tomorrow. One of my friends who has a podcast, the Fake Ass Radio Show, Scav D. I think one of his buddies just passed away. It's like, I had a good friend from high school and she passed away a couple of years ago. And I ain't getting any younger. We aren't getting any younger. And people will die. Your friends will die, and they'll have unexplained health situations that take them away forever. And if you get so caught up in whatever's going on in your own brain, and suddenly that person's gone, it's going to eat you alive. That regret of being so concerned with how you are going to be perceived if you just reach out and say, hey, thinking about you. I think you're pretty great. I miss you. I hope you're doing well. I know that you live in another part of the country, and we have our own lives, and we haven't been close since high school, but you were always a great friend, and I miss you, and I think you're wonderful, and I just was thinking about you. I was going, I was scrolling through Facebook, and a memory popped up from several years ago. Thanks for coming to my wedding. I really appreciate that. Like, one day they're here, and the next they're gone. And if you're so worried about how deep you are versus how deep someone else is, and you hold things back because you're worried about fuck that, man. Just if you care about someone, tell them. If you miss someone, tell them. If you don't want to hang out with somebody anymore, if you hate what you're doing, change it. I'm trying. If you legitimately cannot stand somebody, avoid them. But if you're doing it out of spite or anything else, grow up. Knock it off. You're not special. Nobody's special. We're all just here, man. We're all just hanging out. I really don't know how I fucking went on that tangent. I don't know what happened. I'm going to end on something really weird. Thanks, everybody, for coming by today. This was episode 9. I don't know if I said that in the beginning, but thanks, everybody, for listening. If you're listening, if you're not, go fuck yourself. But you'll never hear that, so whatever. Eat my ass with a spoon. So this time of year, I'm a huge hunter. I love hunting. If I could figure out a way to hunt for a living or do something outdoors related, I would do it. And I'm trying to figure out how to do this. But anyway, I love being in the woods. I love going for walks. I love hiking. I love exploring. I love adventures. This time of year, before things start to turn green, you can get lucky and find deer antlers that have fallen off after season before their new antlers grow. It's called shed hunting. The deer have shed their antlers after the season, and it's pretty exciting. You can learn a lot about their travel corridors, where they've been bedding, the paths that they use most frequently in the winter months and the spring months because it's muddy, and you can really see how they're moving. But anyway, spend a lot of time in the woods, cover a lot of ground, walk several miles at a time looking for these sheds. I saw something the other day that really creeps me out. It's happened to me one other time in Texas. I believe I was in Belton, Texas. So working in Temple, Texas, but I was hiking in Belton with Lauren, and we were way out in this area, just hiking, exploring, getting lost, whatever, having a good time, just exploring. And a thunderstorm was coming, and so we were rapidly trying to get back to the vehicle, and we crossed a ravine that otherwise we would have avoided, but we were in a hurry. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. We didn't want to take the full path because the lightning was getting bad, and we were trying to cross this area that we would otherwise avoid, and we found a child's boot. Middle of nowhere. Middle of fucking nowhere. And you're not on a path. It's not like the boot slipped off and the parents just left it. It was just a weird thing to find. No, I didn't find any bones, but I always think about it. And it was just a really creepy thing to be in the middle of these woods, deep down in a ravine, in the middle of nowhere, and find a child's cowboy boot. I'm pretty sure it was a child's cowboy boot. Something I'll never forget. Thankfully, I didn't find anything else. Fast forward 14 years, maybe 15 years. I don't know. I don't remember what year that was. 2007, 2008. No, it was 2008, 2009. Because after that job, we went on our honeymoon. So it was probably 2008. So 14 years. This past weekend, nothing to do with Theo, but this past weekend, I was shed hunting here in Clarkston. Found a pretty cool deadhead, which is just a dead buck that had died. Its skull and antlers I found in the swamp. But then I went back in this part of the property that I've been to before, but I've never walked through these thick pine trees. And in the distance, I can see this black thing. So I walk over to it. It is, again, a youth-sized rubber boot all by itself in the woods. Why? Nothing creeps me out more than a child's sized anything. God forbid, if I were to ever find like clothes, I would not be okay. But a boot, that's 2 boots. That's the name of this podcast. 2 boots. Got it. I have now found in my travels 2 youth-sized boots by themselves in the middle of the woods for no reason. Neither one of these locations should have had any clothing or attire. Thank the Lord that I didn't find any other things out there. But I did find 2 creepy boots, and that's all I have to say about that. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you next week.